Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes to speak to agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today I'm joined by my guest, Jason Fishman, co-founder and CEO of digital niche agency, aka DNA. How are you doing, Jason?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to be here.
Brilliant. Thank you. Again, thank you for coming on. So I'll dive straight in. I use the same question every time. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the beginning and what sparked your journey and what made you start your own business.
Well, to start, I run an investor marketing agency, have worked with over 500 brands to collectively raise nine figures of capital using content, advertising, and outreach. But taking it back to the beginning and how I got involved in this space, I grew up here in Los Angeles, in Southern California, skateboarding, snowboarding, surfing, and that's how I got into the world of marketing as an action sports consultant and working with brands like Volcom, Nike 6.0, Amp Energy, video sharing platforms. We're talking 2008, 2009. Doesn't feel like that long ago to me, but I imagine that sounds like I'm saying the 1970s, 1980s to some of your listeners, some of your viewers. But 2008, 2009, that's where it all began. I became a specialist for Gen Y marketing. That's what millennials were called back then, Gen Y. And saw success on those accounts at the agency I was working at here in Hollywood. I say Hollywood, it was on Hollywood Boulevard here in Los Angeles. And worked on a Snoop Dogg campaign, worked on fashion campaigns, worked on a variety of different initiatives targeting those audiences. Eventually moved on to a different agency. Our department got acquired by a social gaming startup we were working with. That was my first experience raising capital. We raised $3 million in seed capital, and it was social gaming. So Facebook games, but incorporating licenses and monetizing existing social audiences through the sale of freemium goods. So I started building out these monetization models, average revenue per user, started exploring different traffic channels and building partnerships around that. In fact, we ended up merging with the company that was in ad sales, ad players, and I hopped over there. The owner had a nine-figure exit. I wanted to learn everything I could about advertising, and I did. We're representing various advertising properties. One of them was Pixel Mags, the largest producer of digital magazines in the iTunes store at that point. So they would work with print publishers, create mobile apps for them, then newsstands with inside. We'd run interstitial ads, full screen interactive ads inside. So I had the opportunity of working with many, Fortune 500, top 100 advertisers, various industries, budget levels, timelines, got an understanding of what worked, what didn't work for these groups. And a lot of them was around, app installs and reaching iPad users, premium audiences at that time. So I can tell you the inner workings of some of the biggest brands out there today. Still stay in touch with some of the agencies and clients directly. But in 2014, was asked to partner in this agency, DNA. And I had an interest in getting back involved in the startup space. You know, you do a successful campaign for a major telecom company, they tell you, great job, we'll consider you for the next RFP. Maybe we'll get a proposal on the next campaign. Working with startups, you're directly part of their growth. You see their office, their team, everything evolve. So I wanted to get back into that space. I did. We started the agency as a growth marketing firm, and getting into investor acquisition, everyone wanted to raise capital. Everyone was mentioning to us, hey, with the success of this marketing campaign, we're going to present the results to investors and look to get more funding to spend with you guys. Hey, can you work on the marketing section of our business plan that we're presenting to investors, our pitch deck? Can you participate in this investor meeting with us? It was always part of the discussion. At that point, I was introduced to some new laws. Regulation D 506C allowing for solicitation of accredited investors, so high net worth, high household income audiences. With my advertising background, I said, okay, I could call this data partner, reach people who make over 1 million a year, reach people who are worth over 10 million. Accredited investor levels are far below that. We saw success. We were introduced to more of these groups that were running Reg D campaigns. That got attention from the reward crowdfund world. Suddenly, we were getting white labeled by Kickstarter and Indiegogo agencies. And then they introduced us to Reg CF, which went live in May of 2016, allowing us to target both retail and accredited investors. Day one, we started in this space, fell into it. As an agency owner, it's smaller campaigns, smaller budgets, but the ones that work really ramp up and they stay with you for years because they keep doing additional rounds. And this whole time, we've been building and testing investor audience data. It's sexy. We have partnerships with VCs and investment banks and all different types of funds. It's a very attractive space to be a part of, and we can calculate our value with capital raised. So our pixels tracking investments, thousands of dollars, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars that are showing up on the advertising tracking. So that's what I do. I talk about a lot of the results on my podcast, Test Optimize Scale. Just put out episode 208. Over 200 episodes, depending on when you're listening to this. We'll just say over 200 episodes. Part of the Forbes Agency Council, running 5,000 company. I'm part of the Crowdfund Professional Association board. I could list GECA, a variety of different professional organizations I'm part of. Always trying to be an open book in terms of what we see working and not working for investor acquisition.
Yeah, fantastic. I can see from what you just said then that where you cut your teeth really into lots of different things at the start, like advertising, but with lots of different companies and gained really big experience. And then going into this business, DNA, you wanted a bit more valuable for yourself, like to be more valued as opposed to working for these big corporations where they just say, yeah, thanks, we're moving on, type of thing.
Yes.
And then it's kind of just snowballed from there, really, isn't it? Where you've been able to put your attributes to so many different things, and now you're into the crowd investing and the startups and stuff like that. It's amazing, really, really cool.
Exactly. Exactly. It's been a fun journey, very fulfilling, very exciting when campaigns are going well. We are at the front line of performance, so there's absolutely stressors and variables associated with that. But like I said, it's satisfying because so many startups, so many growth stage companies fail because they're undercapitalized. So to be able to address that, see more of these groups not only survive but grow and take on more market share, it's exciting. It's what gets us up in the morning.
To hear as well. DNA has been around for over a decade, with roots in startup growth and investor focused marketing. What gap did you see in the market that built DNA to solve?
Well, looking from our perspective as a marketing agency, you really need a niche, a specialization. People want to ask you what you're the best at. Otherwise, you're one of 1,000 other agencies in Los Angeles, let alone the nation, the world, globally. So you really need to be able to say, hey, we're one of the best, if not the absolute best in the world at this. And we tried working with different verticals. Uh, my business partner, Tim Martinez, career consultant, and he was working with groups in the longevity marketplace, continued care retirement communities, other brands that focus on baby boomers. So 2014, we thought, hey, this market's underserved. Why don't we, do more there? Figured out what we liked, what we didn't like about that space. Tim was a professional skateboarder at one point. I mentioned I had a background in action sports. We started working with brands in the action sports industry. Uh, only so many, budget, timelines, close knit communities. Hey, we only work with this group, even though we're not growing. We'd hear a lot of these conversations. Did a lot in e-com, fashion, apparel. Saw different successes with SaaS and mobile apps. Uh, but again, across all of those verticals, people were talking to us about capital raising and investors. So you keep hearing it. It almost becomes like a game of memory where now you see the opportunity where, okay, I just learned you could raise capital online. We could advertise to investors online. Huh. There's a dozen companies that have mentioned to us in the past few months that they want to raise capital. Maybe we can run marketing campaigns for them. And then it's a thought, but then someone comes across your desk and they're like, hey, we want to run this campaign on this platform. Can you do it for us? It's like, okay, we were thinking about that, but let's do it. Suddenly there's a insane return on ad spend millions of dollars raised off, would be considered a test budget in my past life. And then 5 calls the next week. Hey, I heard you did it for Rayton Solar. Can you do it for us? Hey, we're working on Fundable. Can you do this for us? Hey, we're doing these Kickstarter campaigns. You have audiences that are working on these big equity crowdfund things. Why don't you run these ads for us? And then you're speaking about your successes at conferences. Worked on an entertainment project on Indiegogo that did very well, and I was speaking at Digital Hollywood, and then suddenly 10 other films want to use us for their capital raise. Absolutely a snowball, and you start gravitating towards what's working for you. Like I said, there was a point in early equity crowdfunding days that I just wanted to go back to ecom, large budget. We had all different types of case studies, auto follow drones, which in 2015, 2016, I might want to do more of this stuff. Their large campaigns were producing great return on ad spends, but the calls just kept coming in to reach investors. Even the groups we were working on the ecom campaigns were asking us about the capital raising. You have to listen. Listening's the most important part of communication, and give the people what they want. And if they're asking you to raise capital for them with the marketing, and they're going to do ecom in house, that's what you do.
Sounds like the market really spoke to you and really
Mm-hmm.
told you what it wanted, and then through word of mouth, I suppose, referrals from people hearing that that's what you're doing, that made it compound effect kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And I could tell you all different chapters of that. It kept compounding and at different stages. So eventually we leaned into it, and it's only led to good things from there.
When you listen to the market and the market tells you what you position DNA as a full service, yet you've narrowed focus around content development and distribution. Why those two pillars, and how do you keep them high impact without diluting execution?
Simplicity. I actually refer to it as three things: content marketing, advertising, and outreach. You're breaking down the content marketing with the development and the distribution. Same deal. I could say, hey, we do social media, we do email, we do long form content, let's call it webinars, articles, videos, press releases. You want influencer outreach, you want all of these, publisher integrations, and be able to be featured on podcasts and I could name 30 things that content marketing can consist of. But I'm going to lose people. As soon as they feel like they can't understand it, they don't want to buy it. They don't want to invest time, let alone money into it. So if I say it's content development, content distribution. And if I use three, I like using the number three. People can remember three things. As soon as it's four, they feel like they need to be writing it down. At least that's how I think about it. Like, am I going to remember these four things later? These six things later? Three I can remember. It's content, advertising, and outreach. Again, I gave you the list for content. Advertising, I could say we do social advertising, we do search advertising. How about programmatic? You want to use a video network? What about audio? Connected TV? Hey, we've done print, we've done out of home. We could do, publisher direct. Who am I speaking to? Who is that benefiting? If I say advertising, they could look at the channels underneath. But I need whoever I'm talking to understand what we do so we could collaborate on it. And I need them to absorb it to the level that they can repeat it to their partner, to their investor, to whomever they need to align with to move forward with us. And again, I don't want to go over their head. I want them to feel like, from the high level view, the process is straightforward. The granularity, hey, which audiences, which creative, which funnels are we targeting? Notice I said three things again. Which audiences, which creatives, which funnels are we optimizing? Campaigns not working? Audiences, creatives, funnels. I need them to be able to really work hand in hand with us versus think, hey, something's behind the curtain. These guys are magicians and it's not working. The magic, they need to change the magic trick. Where it's simple steps. What goes into it takes a lot of thought, but the cleaner the system, the more people will be on board.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds like you're reducing the overwhelm as well, because when you say too many things to people, they get overwhelmed, and then it's just going to go over their head basically.
People like feeling smart. They don't feel that they don't like the experience of, oh, I don't get this.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So streamline and less overwhelm and go straight to the point of the three things every time to keep it relevant in their mind. So you've worked across everything from PR to crowdfunding, traffic, and CPI campaigns. What types of clients or industries are you most bullish on right now and why?
You may not like my answer, but I like to build campaigns that reflect what target audiences are reading about online today. It's not so much one vertical. I play golf. I go on elaborate snowboard trips. I love travel. I love going to Michelin restaurants and seek them out. I don't only work on campaigns for things I'm passionate about. Uh, if we have a very successful issuer, company issuing shares, their vertical works really well, we may get 5 calls, 10 calls immediately afterwards from other groups in their space. They're not all going to perform the same way. Uh, I like working on campaigns that are producing results. So I find our ads, our content generate a stronger response if it mirrors what audiences are reading about that day. So if they're going on to content aggregator, let's say it's Apple News, if they're going on to their favorite media website, their favorite app, if they're going on to Instagram or TikTok and getting the news from pages that they follow there, it should feel along the lines of, oh, I was just reading about something like this. I was just seeing something like this. I find that correlation in many of our campaigns. We also, of course, try to build headlines that reflect what people are consuming at that moment. We try to incorporate third-party validation, social proof, whether it's through UGC, a paid influencer, a paid publisher, anything on the organic side, or even just pointing to quotes online. We want to be able to show the relevancy and tap into the mindset of the audience. For crowd campaigns, crowd sales, and I look at pretty much all investor acquisition as crowd sale. I could explain why. It's social dynamics at play. So if you're pitching VCs, they want to know, okay, who else is invested in this? Everyone wants to be first, to be second. Oh, okay, this notable investor came in. One of the guys from Shark Tank put in $1 million. Okay, we'll put it. We're gonna come in tomorrow. But first one in the pool at a pool party, tougher sell. So everyone seeks out that line around the block. No one wants the empty restaurant sensation. And you have to create that feeling with the content. You have to create that sensation with the advertising. It's the top 10% of issuers that get all of the capital. The bottom 50% are stagnant. So it's all about how we talk about it. And I have been saying more and more, less about the vertical, more about the audience and what type of reaction we're getting from.
Making sure that you're slotting it into where people are already looking at, and the relevance would be a massive point of what you're saying there.
Exactly.
So I just want to change pace for a second and zero in on your pipeline for a minute, if that's okay.
Okay.
What does your current lead generation look like for yourselves? Not for your clients, but for yourselves.
Sure, I'm happy to break down our B2B model. I put out a weekly podcast episode, each with a different guest. Many of those guests promote to their audiences, and either way, we're creating thought leadership. And I learn more from the podcast and from guests than any school program I've been a part of, any job, client, employee I've had. It's something where I'm always becoming wiser, if you will. I'm able to quote it all the time. Monthly webinar. In fact, I'll move into our live monthly webinar in a half hour. Each month we create a different topic, different deck. I feature a different internal team member. We put out an article every other week, put out a weekly email newsletter, social posts multiple times a week on multiple channels. I mentioned a few of the places I publish content as part of professional organization, uh, membership, alignment, stuff I've been voted on to. Uh, we I speak at a lot of conferences. I lead a lot of workshops. I guest on different podcasts. So all of that is our organic content, if you will. Also quoted quite a bit. I'll look at how many people link to my articles and content. We run advertising. So we run our search advertising. So if someone's new to regulated investment crowdfunding, they do a search, we come up. You go on to ChatGPT, put best equity crowdfunding agency, we come up. And on the paid side, I like to, supplement that with advertisements, so can ensure that we're showing up, conquesting on other keywords, what have you. We run banner display retargeting, we run social ads to promote our webinar, we run retargeting ads on Meta. We do outreach. So there's a platform called King's Crowd. It shows all of the live equity crowdfunding campaigns, Reg CF, Regulation A+. There's a SEC .gov. You can go on Edgar and see all of these filings as well as the Regulation D campaigns. That's the accredited investor only campaigns. There's another site where we go to just to get a list of those, and there's many of those that file every day, a lot of real estate offerings. So we then reach out to everyone over LinkedIn, over email, build a lot of referral partnerships. Among everything I've said, referral partners probably produce the most for us, and that's how we've been able to do it.
We're heavy on the content with the podcast, with the webinars, and then repurposing that content with also hitting them with the ads and then the retargeted ads as well. So how are you scoring and prioritizing the leads that you're getting?
I do it primarily by lead source, and then what stage they're at, planning, plateaued, or scaling. Uh, there's pros and cons for each of those, but it would go scaling, planning, plateaued in terms of priority. But so much of what we do is through referrals that based on the referral partner, I could assign a quality score. And then I just take them through a simple process of, hey, let's get on a discovery call, send over a proposal, offer a proposal review call, during a proposal review call, offer an agreement, follow up around there. And we're not car salesmen. We're not pushing people hard. It's just making it as easy as possible for them to move forward and being educational. If we're giving them tips that they can use, whether they work with us, whether they work without us, I feel like we're doing the right thing, we're being of value. And if they want to collaborate with us from there, fantastic. If not, I'll look to, stay in touch with them. The follow-up continues, if you will. I want to stay present, but it's not a hard sell at any point. That's why I'm very open about our model.
So is that you manually following that up, or do you have a systems in place that help you automate any of that?
I find manual follow-up works best. There are different things we've tried out for
Yeah.
automation. Um, my team supports me in follow-ups, but at the
Yeah, of
same
course.
time, I find manual for what we're doing works best. If I were going after vertical with a million prospects, thousands of prospects live at any given time, I may feel differently about it, but there's 400 live Reg CF campaigns as we speak, 40 live Regulation A plus campaigns as we speak with Reg D, but the more we could customize, the better. And the questions get pretty specific in the responses. I want to be uh, as personalized as possible in the follow ups as well. It's relationship building beyond looking to bring in new deals.
Which part of your sales process still rely on manual input from your team? So like input into CRMs or anything like that?
I say we do, the majority of it manual because I have to reference different databases, I have to reference different lists, and from there I want to have more personalized messaging. Uh, Again, we've done plenty of automated, email, LinkedIn outreach. I've found by crafting this stuff, by hand, if you will, we've gotten better responses.
Right, I'll move on. I know you speak to a lot of founders on your own podcast, and you've hosted over 200 episodes on the DNA podcast, which is a serious run. What have you learned from those interviews, especially when it comes to how startups and founders approach growth or investor visibility?
Well, growth, investor visibility, they go hand in hand. You do have to make a distinguished effort for each, of course. I would say the founders who are relentless, they're going to make it work no matter what. They'll fail fast, they'll test things out, but move on to the next test for the same goal, not giving up on the whole project. They're the ones who make it work, the ones who take a step outside of their day to day, work on the business, not just in the business, ask what they need to tweak, what they need to pivot, what they need to ramp up, and they're aggressive about it. We run advertising campaigns. I could tell by the way founders scale. Some of them, it's small percentages, once a month, every couple weeks. The ones that have the top campaigns to date, groups where, we raised $45 million at, over 29x on the pixel data. They're the ones who scale week over week, and they're doubling it. They're getting to massive levels. As long as the return on ad spend is there, they want to keep leaning into it because they understand time is the most important resource. Things fail because of timing. Budget is just putting fuel on the fire, and you're looking at what you're actually buying. It's that traffic, it's that visibility, including visibility of investors, whether it's a growth campaign or one of these investor acquisition campaigns. And that you're building a retargeting pool, you're building an audience that you're going to keep following up with. It's all in the follow up. So if there's not enough eggs in the basket, if you will, more likely you're going to fail. Statistically, you're going to fail. Startups, 9 out of 10 fail the first year. 9 out of 10 that survive fail the second year. At least that's what I was taught. Stat I reference a lot. Stat that was brought up on my podcast a lot from guests. Raising from VCs, you know, angels. It's great. A lot of friends are VCs and angels. Nothing bad to say about them at all. They'll tell you very small percentage of deals they actually invest into. 5% would be optimistic. Most groups, it's not 5%. There's so much going through their desk. They're turning down things right and left. They're looking for reasons to turn you down. And as soon as they find it, you can see the relief in their face. It sounds like it's just not the right time, but why don't we follow up in 6 months? That they're looking for that. And then sometimes founders get caught up. Oh, I was fixing this for this one investor, then I brought it back, and they still didn't care. You got to read through the lines. It's a world failure out there. You have to be that top 10%. You have to be that top 5%. You have to treat yourself like you're that top 1%. And you're going to make it no matter what. You get a bad email, you have a rough month, no capital came in, you're not getting good attention in your reviews, publisher said something bad. What can I do from here? How do I want to play this? I play golf. I hit it in the trees. What can I do from here? I'm able to punch it out. That's what pros are good at. They're able to get a par. They're able to get a birdie. They're able to get a good score, even with the bad shot sprinkled in there. Me,
Yeah,
amateur golfer, may not happen.
yeah,
It may ruin my whole hole, but that's the difference from the top, the elite, the high
yeah.
performers. And that's what I hear in my podcast all the time. I'll see it coupled with more industry specific knowledge and team building around their actual space, around their vertical. But you have to commit. 100% commit to your shot and not accept failure, not, let your mind be filled with what if this doesn't work and I don't know and what's going to, happen if this. No. We're only focused on the success. Need to make any pivots, need to make any calls, need to bring on any new team members, shape this out, shape that out, whatever it takes to get there is the commonality I see from my most successful guests.
I've had that before a lot of times where people say the faster you fail fast you learn, you fail fast you learn, and you pivot and you make adjustments every time, and that's basically what you've just been saying there. Would you say the podcast has played more of a brand authority role for DNA, or are you seeing it feed into the funnel as well?
Brand authority.
Yeah,
It feeds into the funnel. Absolutely. We get clients from it. But brand authority, you never know who's listening. So I'll be at a conference, I'll be on a discovery call, and someone will start quoting my episodes. And I'll speak to a new strategic partner, a new prospect, and they'll say, "I just binge watched 5 of your episodes. I love what you said about optimizing creative and not being set to what you like, but what the audience is telling you with the analytics. Like that's awesome. I'm staring at a camera in front of a computer. I see the views. I
yeah,
get emails and social posts from people I know, people I don't know as well. But it's different when you're hearing it in person. You know, I
yeah.
I've been in cabs late night with a bunch of people from conferences. There's a guy from Paris freestyling, quoting stuff that I said on my podcast. Like, like it, it's
Yeah, no,
it's pretty
that's
cool the way it
yeah,
positions you. And then you could create clips. Someone saying, we just don't know if we want to spend on this. We think investors are kind of going to be interested or not. I'll send them a clip from what one of the top founders, one of the top issuers, people have raised the most funds to date, said about that exact statement. It's not me saying it, it's them saying it. I'll send the clip over. Uh, so, yes, we have people reach out to the site. Yes, we get clients, but that's not why I do it. I do it so that I'm constantly putting out thought leadership, that, brand positioning, brand awareness, the learning that I get from it. And it, it, it says something. Like you said, 200 episodes, that's a feat. Like, people say that all the time when, really it just means I've been doing it for weekly episodes for 4+ years. It's all it's saying, but at the same time, people understand, like, oh, there's a depth to that. There's a reason guests are hopping on. There's a reason guests are sharing. There's a reason the audience keeps showing up. It's that validator. It's that social proof in many of our discussions.
yeah. And it shows that, like you said, then for 4+ years, the leaders in the industry want to jump on. They want to speak, on your podcast. So it validates everything that you're saying. And then obviously, when you're hearing other people quote you, it must just sound like a gold mine type of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's doing what it's doing. Do you know what I mean? It's doing what it's meant to be doing.
Especially when it's a freestyle rap quoting you. But yes, that
Yeah,
is a fact. I've been working on a GPT, uploading all the episodes and having answers include quotes from guests as well as me, and it's amazing all the stuff that's been talked about in that period of time. Uh, so a lot more different integrations and applications that you could look at once you create the content as well.
yeah, like repurposing that content over 200 episodes. I mean, you could clip and repurpose that content over and make it last for so long. And like you
Hmm.
said, you've already getting a GPT to take out certain quotes and things that are said on that. So yeah, no, I think that's an amazing way to do it as well. Especially when you've got a bank load of content like that, you need to put it to. It's already going to work, but I mean, repurpose it even to more and more work, and the compounding from that will just be exponential.
Easier said than done, and there's only so many hours in the day. If that was the only thing I was
Yeah.
focused on, it'd be a lot more straightforward. And I have, the team on it, and we were purpose it on a weekly level, but to look at it as a whole and then do these different compilations, and it is endless. But yeah, you got to prioritize where the time's put each week.
Yeah, of course, of course. But you can use AI to help you repurpose that content as well. Do you know what I mean with
Absolutely.
uploading that to certain things? And that's I found that with speaking to other founders and speaking to other people where they don't have the time to do that, but there's systems that we can put into place, for example, where it repurposes it, clips it, and it's all done for you. So there's definitely other ways that you can use the time. So then you're focused on doing what you're meant to do, as
Hmm.
opposed to clipping, editing content. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Where do you see DNA in the next 6 to 12 months, and are there growth levers, new offers, or internal changes you're most excited to pursue?
Yeah, the market's definitely changed around paid advertising. You need to have differentiators. So for us, it's our audience that we've built of investors. I'm working on a partnership where we're able to whitelist, advertise from various social page handles, particularly with print publishers and hundreds of them. So you could, select and run ads and to their audience, and you can make the ad feel like they wrote it and basically say like, hey, this is the best brand in blank industry right now. So being able to have those differentiators, would actually like to, build products around podcast placements. Would like to build products around financial email newsletters, create our own financial email newsletter, create a network of financial publishing sites. There's so many different things that are being brought up internally right now for product evolution, and we're putting the resources into it. Uh, because we're so closely tied to the regulated investment crowdfunding industry, and I'm part of the Crowdfund Professional Association. We're having meetings with Washington and meetings with media and looking to get more awareness of this, legislature. Uh, as the industry picks up, our volume increases. So more Reg CF, Reg D, Regulation A plus campaigns, more investor acquisition campaigns around gold, Web3, real estate, LP, GP acquisition for funds, limited partner, general partner, uh, anywhere we're targeting investors and bringing them down marketing funnels. Also, if some of the partnerships I was mentioning there, we're getting more requests for things outside of capital raising, trying to be selective on what that looks like. But it's nice to broaden a little bit, and we find those groups then funnel into our investor acquisition initiatives. So more content, more products, more campaigns. Worked on over a dozen case studies from quarter two a couple weeks ago, and performance has been there this year. It's been a exciting, fulfilling year.
Use the pun fingers in many different pies as well, and on roads and options to go and branch out. But obviously, you're being careful on what you branch out to. So yeah, cool. So Jason, with digital platforms changing constantly, how do you keep your campaigns future proof? Are there tools or tactics that you've doubled down on this year?
I've built a model called the 8 point plan for strategy. Industry overview, competitor marketing audit, week one. And yeah, I mentioned how important listening is. I mentioned how important research is. I mentioned how much I absorb from doing the podcast. I also do a weekly report on the industry. And the findings shape what we need to do. Audiences we need to go after, channels we need to incorporate, utilize, creative that we should be modeling, strategic partnerships that we can bond our clients with, even as far as performance metrics and benchmarks for our projections. So the strategy keeps us connected to what's working right now. And, you know, being friends with other agency owners, calling them, I don't email them, I just call them. Hey, what's up, man? I've been to, comedy clubs, restaurants, Vegas trips to Thailand, trips to all over with some of these guys. And, I call them, ask what's working. They're not going to tell me the same thing over email if it's too formal. It's like, I hear back from them, the scheduling. I may get a response in a week. If I call them, they'll pick up or they'll call me back later. And I'll ask them which vendors are working, what software is working, what they're doing for growth, what they're doing for creative, what they're doing for AI, what they're doing for all of these different things. Um, what have we doubled down on this year? Those partner advertisements, being able to run ads from other social pages, which is something we've tested in the past, but especially from premium publishers and the way that resonates, even more so than influencers, which is what we've tested in the past, or pages that sound like publisher names, but running ads from premium publisher pages, the trust, the listening, the intent just completely changes.
That's where you've seen the biggest change, I suppose, and it is a massive change when you go from influencer to publisher. It's a completely, I say, a different audience. I would even say.
Yes, absolutely. Even if it's the same audience, it's hearing it from an
Different
individual,
angle.
yeah, or hearing it from a serious brand. So you think
Yeah.
of, okay, how's the influencer getting contacted? Oh, how's Fortune, how's Forbes, how's Rolling Stone, like how's Entrepreneur, how are these guys getting contacted? What's behind that? This can't be just some small brand. This is something that matters.
Yeah. And with the first part of the question, I just wanted to say, so you're staying in touch with the market at all times, basically, and then you're also collaborating with other people by phoning them up and just asking what's working, what's not working. So you're always touching base.
Oh
I
yeah,
would say that's how you're future proofing, because you're always touching base and making sure that your campaigns stay up to date. So yeah, man.
exactly.
So, Jason, if you had a magic wand and you could remove one friction point inside the agency, whether it's operational, client side, internal, what would it be and why?
I'd say, operational, dealing with all the, you know, billing, legal, HR, everything that needs to be done for accounting and taxes, out of office agendas, all of that stuff. I'm good at it. I just don't think it's the best use of my time. I love the client stuff. Some of the clients can be difficult, but the better you get at speaking to them, the better you understand breakdowns lead to breakthroughs, and it's all a matter of how you respond, the more successful you'll be.
Breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. I like that. I like that.
I didn't come up with it, but I subscribe to it.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So, Jason, you've been running an agency at agency speed for a while now. How do you personally stay focused and energized as a founder? What anchors you when things get chaotic?
Well, the way I look at it is, let's say you got 30 clients, you're probably going to have 3 to 6 that aren't happy. You're probably going to have 3 to 6 that are ecstatic, and then a lot of groups in the middle. Maybe it's more. Maybe you have 12 that are ecstatic at the time, 12 that are pissed. Hopefully not. But I think if you look at the big picture, it helps. And, you take every golf shot, you take every at bat, commit, you hone in, and you do what you need to do to perform at the best ability for that situation. So you're balancing out big picture and, ultra focused on the moment. It's hard to be present today. You got to be present in those situations. It's easy to get frustrated. It's a basic human emotion. It probably happens daily. You'd be on vacation and you're upset that your drink order's taking too long or that the sun's not out that day or whatever it is. It's something that occurs. You got to know how to push through it. I think it's how you channel it. So if you walk around pissed off at prospects that aren't moving forward or clients that keep bugging you or aren't paying their bills, that carries over to the next conversation. And energy, people feel that. If you're able to, you know, have a clean slate, come fresh at the next discussion. Getting ready for my webinar here right now. Gotta, make sure I'm fresh before that. Uh, it makes all of the difference.
Yeah, yeah, sure. No, I can see that definitely, and that is a elite founder level mindset to have to be able to not let it carry on into the next conversation, next conversation, next conversation. Because I would have thought a lot of our viewers and listeners can resonate with doing that, letting it run over to the next thing and the next thing. Because, like you said, it's a basic human emotion. Right, before we wrap up, Jason, tell our viewers and listeners where they can connect with you or your company online.
Sure. You go to digitalnicheagency.com. You could check out our YouTube channel, access from the site, or just Googling Digital Niche Agency, DNA. You could find me on LinkedIn, Jason Fishman, Marina Del Rey, Los Angeles. Feel free to reach out. Don't be bashful.
Thank you for coming on, and I wish you all the best in your next year, next quarter, and any new endeavors that you have with DNA.
Thanks so much. Pleasure to be here today.
Perfect.
Enjoy the discussion.
Perfect. Thank you.